Spoiler alert, this video is not promising you you're gonna lose 20 pounds in 30 days. I'm not gonna give you a 10-step process to losing 100 pounds and improving your health. However, maybe you're like me. Maybe you've tried everything in order to lose weight and you just can't stick to it. You're losing 20 pounds, you gain back 30, and you're in this never-ending cycle of not being able to figure out how to be consistent. You're at a point where you feel like you've tried everything, and maybe you're thinking that your only option is weight loss medications or going down the route of some type of medical weight loss surgery. But my question for you is, what happens if you give it everything you've got and you go beast mode for 1 month? How are you gonna feel by the end of it? What kind of momentum are you gonna feel that's gonna propel you to move forward? You're gonna learn so much about what foods work for you, what you can tolerate, what you can't, the things that are helping you feel better, and you are gonna be able to turn this 30-day beast mode into a long-term, consistent way of living that's gonna help improve your health, lose weight, and live the best life that you can. My question for you is, what do you have to lose? Make your health and weight loss and going all in and eating healthier and being active your number one priority for 1 month and see what can happen and what that can turn into a long-term lifestyle. But before we get started, I want to let you know that this video is sponsored by Element. I am home. I'm checking out the Element sparkling waters for the first time, and I'm obsessed with the grapefruit one, and I can't wait to try the other flavors. It's these big 16-ounce cans with 1,000 milligrams of sodium, 200 milligrams of potassium, and 60 milligrams of magnesium. There's no sugar, no gluten, no caffeine, no dodgy ingredients, and it's super refreshing. I'm absolutely loving it. Every day though, I use these electrolyte packets. I love the unflavored version, and I'm back to using it in my giant 40-ounce water, and it's the perfect ratio for me of getting in all my electrolytes when it's hot and I'm being really active. Element has a deal for all my subscribers where you can get a free sample pack of their drink mix packets that lets you try all 8 of their flavors. You can figure out which one you like best. And now you can get that with a purchase of your drink mix packets or the sparkling waters. They have a 100% money back guarantee, and they're gonna make sure that you love what you got. If you wanna check them out, you can go to drinkelement.com/LauraSpath to get your free sample pack. Hi guys, my name is Laura, and if you're new here, I lost 120 pounds in about 10 months, 6 years ago, following a very strict carnivore diet and incorporating a lot of fasting. Since then, I have spent the last 5 years figuring out how to maintain it by using a carnivore diet. If you've watched any of my other videos before, you know I'm actually not a big fan of extremes and a lot of the carnivore trends and some of the hacks or the temporary things that people do in order to try to lose weight quickly. I actually think that if you are losing weight in a radical way that is not maintainable for you in your life long term, then you're not gonna be able to stick to it, and you're likely gonna gain a lot of that weight back. That has happened to me, and I have done that many times in my life where I'm just like doing something for a short period of time in order to lose weight. And then when you stop doing that, you end up gaining all of your weight back. Done it over and over again. The difference for me with something like going beast mode carnivore is I think there is a benefit to understanding what foods are negatively affecting you. And how I've been able to maintain this for the last several years is understanding what are my guardrails? What foods can I incorporate that, which is cheese or pickles or maybe an onion occasionally, that are not going to negatively affect my health or throw me off my goals? But there's other things like fruit and sweets and bread and a lot of treats I cannot incorporate because I will overeat them or I'll have bloating and I'll gain weight very quickly. To understand what those guardrails are, or just to kickstart your weight loss or to have you be super motivated and build some momentum in order to start this carnivore lifestyle and figure out what works for you, I think there's a benefit to going like beast mode all in for a short period of time. I don't think you should be like following some wacky protocol in order to do that, which is why this video is not gonna give you a macros list. I'm not gonna give you a specific meal plan, meal timings. Like, those are very individual things. My beast mode is going to be a very specific meal timing exercise plan and what foods I'm going to incorporate and not going to incorporate. And I'm going to share that with you now. But for you, it might look slightly different. And it's important for you to figure out what that looks like. But the concept is the same. What happens if you give this everything that you've got for a month and say no to eating out, say no to carbs, say no to treats, say no to the weekend cheats, say no to the alcohol, say no to anything that potentially could throw you off track for 1 month? My question is, by the end of that month, what kind of results are you going to see? How much can you accomplish? Where is your health going to be? How are you going to feel? And what kind of momentum are you going to build for yourself in order to keep moving forward to creating a healthier life? I personally am at a point in my life and my journey where I need a 1 month beast mode to go all in, just to do a little bit of a reset for me. And you might be asking why. Well, I have been living a very relaxed carnivore lifestyle for the last several years. One that's maintaining my weight for the most part, but there's small fluctuations that I see in the scale over time. I incorporate a lot of cheese. I'll do some snacking occasionally on things like processed meats or cheese, and a lot of sour cream and dairy and things that make it interesting and able for me to stick to this way of eating. However, they're probably not the best for reducing inflammation or keeping your weight lower. I incorporated a fast occasionally, but it's not something that I do on a regular basis anymore. And it's just made this a nice balance for me to stick to this and travel and, not feel like I'm living this rigid lifestyle of restriction anymore. And it's been perfect. It's actually what I plan to do long term. I'm doing this beast mode now as just a way of resetting, but then I plan to go back to this nice, relaxed carnivore lifestyle because that's what helps me enjoy it, stick to it, and then also to maintain my health. But we also just spent 3 months in Spain and traveling around Europe for my job. I was eating a bigger variety of foods there than I normally do. I was doing much less fasting than I ever do. A lot of my intermittent fasting went completely out the window while we were traveling and while we were in Spain. And like I said, I just wanted to experience some of the local food, things that I do not have at all back in the US. And that's just resulted in me carrying a little bit more weight and also carrying some inflammation that I'm ready to get rid of. And I think it's time for my body to do a good reset. And so my plan is to go beast mode, like what my version of beast mode carnivore is. And for me, that is very tight eating windows. I am not in a place where I can eat 1 meal a day and eat enough food anymore. So I personally try to get in 140 grams of protein a day. I don't track my fat macros because I think that varies day to day on what type of meat that I'm eating, and I am not really concerned about the ratio of my macros. I just personally want to make sure that I'm getting in 1 gram of protein per pound of lean body mass, and so for me, that's around 140 grams of protein. I will track that in an app every couple of days just to make sure that I'm not under eating. I also personally try to get 1,800 to 2,000 calories in on most days. If I'm only eating 1 meal a day or I'm just eating until I'm hungry, I can very easily undereat because the food on a carnivore diet is so satisfying. I am very strict when I go beast mode about not snacking. For me, there is zero reason why I should be snacking. Snacking is always emotional. It's because I'm not hungry. And then instead of undereating, if I'm snacking, I tend to overeat. And so that's where this emotional grazing comes into play that just is really not needed for anybody. So the number of meals that you choose is going to be different. If you're like my husband, Chris, he eats 1 meal a day because he can eat a lot of meat in one sitting. And then there's lots of people that I know that are in my locals community, in our support group, and they eat 3 meals a day because they have had previous gastric bypass surgeries, and so they're not able to eat a lot in one sitting. So whether you're eating 1, 2, or 3 meals a day is specific for you, but when you go beast mode, no snacking. Also for me, beast mode means I am doing a 48-hour fast once a week. I'm gonna be adding some extra electrolytes on those fasting days, but I am not eating any food for 48 hours. I will stop eating at lunch on one day, I will skip the next day entirely, and then I will go until lunch the following day. That to me is the perfect amount of time where I don't get super physically hungry. It's not like this emotional stress. As long as I'm picking a day of the week where I'm really busy, then it's easy for me to just skip a day of eating. That helps with weight loss since I'm not in this like major calorie deficit every day. You can eat in a calorie deficit and lose weight, but over time, the lower your calorie deficit is, the more your metabolism is going to slow down to match that. And so in order to maintain a great working metabolism and to keep my hormones healthy and just give my body the fuel that it needs on a regular basis, I like to keep my calories a little higher. And then I do a fasting day, a complete fasting day once a week in order to lose weight and just help balance things out over the course of the week. Beast mode for me also means no cheese. I tend to use cheese as a condiment where I'm putting it on top of something, or I'll sprinkle some cheese on a taco bowl, or I'll have a piece of cheese as a side dish or as a dessert. But y'all, I ate so much cheese over the last 3 months in Spain that it has clearly affected my weight and just overall how I feel. It's been way too much. So for me, beast mode means no cheese. I don't have a reaction to dairy in general, so I'll still probably be cooking in butter or putting a little bit of butter on top of a steak, but for you, that might be different. And so you may not know how dairy affects you. You may not know how cheese affects you, which is why going hardcore, cut it out for a month, may give you a good understanding of whether or not you can incorporate it long-term or not. Beast mode for me also means incorporating some type of exercise. I did a really amazing job over the last few months being in Spain of walking every day, but in Arizona, it's 120 degrees, like walking regularly or hitting the gym and working out constantly has really never been something that I have been very good at. And so I am gonna take things pretty slow. This is not some like crazy 45-minute workout a day type of challenge that I'm giving myself. I'm being realistic and knowing that I can only handle 20 minutes of exercise a day, and that just might be some bodyweight exercises in the house. But maybe on some days I'll go take a class at the gym, or I'll go for a walk, or I'll do something a little more intense. But I am going to commit to myself that I'm going to do 20 minutes of exercise, intense exercise, every single day in order just to help me build muscle and get my body moving again. Taking pictures is going to be a big part of how I'm measuring this challenge. The scale doesn't really fluctuate a ton for me. And then if I am exercising and, reducing inflammation, there should be some movement on the scale, but it's not going to be super consistent. And so taking pictures and measurements is so key in order to know what kind of changes you are seeing in your body. One of the most important parts of going beast mode or deciding that you're going to go all in for a month is take a look at your calendar. Literally pull out a calendar and say, do I have any vacations? Do I have a birthday party for somebody? Is there a wedding? Is there an event? Like, what are the events and the situations that you have coming up that could or possibly will give you some temptation? Is there a time when people are going to be drinking alcohol and you're going to feel pressured to join in on them? Maybe in the past, it's not a big deal for you to have alcohol occasionally, but sometimes these little things that we do here and there are things that throw us off and prevent us from being consistent enough to hit our goals. So look ahead. How are you going to avoid having alcohol in those situations? What happens if you just say no for one time? You're going to have another birthday party or another wedding or another piece of cake is going to be there in the future. What happens if you just say no just for this month, just for right now? How much different will you feel? And how are you going to avoid those things? Do you eat before you go? Are you going to take food with you on an airplane? Are you going to pack yourself a lunch? Are you going to avoid going to a specific restaurant because you know you can't avoid the bread that they bring on the table at the beginning of the time? Pick somewhere new to go. Your anniversary is coming up and you're afraid you're not going to be able to avoid having a treat. Pick a different restaurant than your normal one you always go to that has those tempting foods. Find a restaurant that's more meat-centered, or find an activity to do with your spouse where you're able to spend some time together, make it special, but not be tempted by all of those same foods. You cannot expect yourself to be in all of those old situations and in all of those old circumstances and yet just have the strength and the willpower to push through. Radically change your location, change how you handle it, change your approach for these things. And in 1 month, you will start to build better habits. And this muscle of saying no will get stronger and stronger. I have another full video on what I think is the most important thing in all of this, and that is picking a non-negotiable goal. I have a lot of goals for the next month for me going beast mode, and I'm writing them all out and I'm making a plan of this really great list. But at the end of the day, life happens and stress happens, and I'm gonna have deadlines at work, and there's gonna be stress that happens at home, and it's really hot and you're gonna get really tired. And so I might miss my exercise on a day. I might end up eating a piece of cheese on a certain day. There is something that will go wrong over the next month, and you now need to think and prepare yourself for that. And so for me, I have to focus on throughout this goal, and I'm gonna go beast mode, and I have all of these things that I'm focusing on, but what is the one thing that no matter what, I'm gonna stick to? That's my non-negotiable. And for me, that is like stay carnivore. So I'm cutting out the occasional pickles and the onions and the things that I might have occasionally and the Diet Cokes. We're gonna just stay carnivore hardcore this month no matter what. And yeah, I wanna fast and I wanna do exercise and I wanna do all these other things, but at the end of the day, I'm gonna keep going. I'm not gonna give up on myself. I'm just gonna stay strict carnivore and keep moving forward one day at a time. I said this at the beginning, but I'm not promising you this like magic weight loss if you go all in. And I just want to remind you that there are some health issues that food alone cannot heal, but you won't know what about you can't heal from changing your diet unless you go all in and change your diet for a month and give it everything you got. I would encourage you in this beast mode mentality, like stay away from more processed meats like hot dogs and deli meats and processed sausage, and like keep it super simple and clean and focus on chicken and beef and eggs and meat, and anything that's like a one ingredient item is gonna be the best way. Have any meat that you want, fish, and anything that's like one ingredient meats is gonna be the best way for you to like come to this baseline of what affects you and what's working for you. And after that amount of time, you may have to make some tweaks and make some adjustments, and you may be able to incorporate other foods long term, but you kind of don't know what you can and can't do long term until you spend a period of time without them. So let me know what you think. Are you ready for beast mode? Is beast mode too much for you? Can you take this challenge where you go all in and give it everything you've got for the next month? My locals community does these types of challenges regularly, and for the month of July, we are doing like this group community challenge. I do live streams regularly. I'm gonna go live once a week in there just to encourage people and answer questions. They post their meals, they post accountability, they're posting recipes and grocery shopping lists, and it's just a group where we can all support each other and get feedback and advice and encouragement and say, I'm going into this terrible situation, or I'm feeling stressed and I wanna cave. How am I gonna handle this? And you have this amazing group of people that are there to support you and encourage you and help you work your way through it. Because that is one of the biggest things, is finding a community of people who understand, because maybe there's nobody in your house, in your job, in your life who is supporting you in this and who knows what you're going through, but there is a group of people in a community, so many different communities, whether or not it's mine or somebody else's, but find a community of people who are there to encourage you and support you and help you hit your goals. So if you're ready to go beast mode, comment below and let me know what your commitment is, and then you can come check that out a month later and see how you were able to handle it. I will be keeping you posted on my results and documenting things. I'm gonna post some what I eat videos during this time. We're gonna do a weigh in and weigh out at the end of my beast mode month, and we'll see how I'm feeling by the end of this month. So make sure you subscribe.